Hello everyone, back tuning in today's second video. So we've already done the 5-day forecast. You can find that on the homepage. Just scroll down a little bit and the video will be there for you to check out. It'll be a very showery start to 5-day forecast period, but there are improvements ahead for the weekend. The written version is on the written updates page. You can get to that via buttons at the top of the page. This this video is going to be focusing on the next 40 days from the Beijing Climate Centre. So we're going to have a look at 500 millibar height anomalies for the next 40 days. Then we'll have a look at the corresponding temperature and precipitation anomalies as well. This takes us well into July. I think we'll go up towards the end of July, can you believe, with this update. Before I get on with that, though, just to say about the ads. There's links to articles on all the pages. Have a browse through widgets and click through the links. If there's any articles that you're interested in, thanks very much for doing that. This video adds most pages, so own that content. When you watch and close back up again, helps pay website. The final update for Le Mans will be released later on this afternoon. So just have a look at the 500 millibar heights, broken down to 10-day periods first of all. The first 10-day period takes us from the 16th through to 25th of June. As you know, with these charts, blue extrapolates to low pressure, and orange and red, bright colours, extrapolates to high pressure. So for the coming 10 days, we've got low pressure in the Atlantic and moving through into the UK. And then we've got this ridge down to the southwest around the Azores, which isn't hugely helpful to us because we're still running the jet stream via these troughs, or the troughs via the jet stream, through the country a bit like that. So it's a fairly changeable and unsettled 10 days here, with showers along the spells of rain. The Azores high is close, but it isn't close enough to be preventing the jet stream and the corresponding areas of low pressure moving through the country. However, we go through to the second 10-day period, which goes from the 26th of June through to the 5th of July, and heights start to rise. So we find orange colours there building up from the south and the southwest as this area of low pressure is penned in around Greenland. As the heights are rising, the jet stream is moving north as well. So the jet stream going to the north of the country, going onto the warm side of the jet stream. We're building a ridge up from the south. That looks pretty good if you want warm, dry weather for the end of June and into the start of July. I think that would be a signal for plenty of dry and warm conditions through that 10-day period. And then the next 10-day period looks very similar. So this takes up to the middle of June, from the 6th of July through to the 15th. And still the same sort of idea, really. The heights are there around the UK. And the low pressure is generally to the north of us, with the jet stream going to the north as well. So I think, once again, it could be very pleasant, really, for the first half of July. A lot of dry weather coming through there. And pretty warm conditions as well, I would have thought, because we are on the warm side of the jet with that ridge pushing the jet stream to the north. Days 31 to 40, which is the 16th through to the 25th of July, shows a change. The ridge pulls out to the west into the Atlantic, and this trough of low pressure develops to the north and the northeast, and that sends the jet stream onto a northwest-southeast trajectory, rather like that. So it turns a good deal cooler. That would be the main upshot of that. It would also probably turn quite a bit more unsettled as well, I would have thought, and particularly for the northern part of the country, could bring some bands of rain through. But I think the main thing there would be a much cooler feel, with the ridge pulling out into the middle of the Atlantic and sending the jet stream northwest to southeast. Let's have a look at how the temperatures are stacking up then for the next 40 days. So we deal with the first 10 days. First of all, this is from the 16th through to 25th of June, so the 10 days that we're just starting. And you can see generally cooler than average temperature anomalies there from day 1 through to 10. So temperature anomalies coming out a bit below average through that period. Days 11 to 20, though, this is the ridge builds up from the south and temperature anomalies go warmer than average because the jet stream is shifting to the north with the low pressure systems, and generally looking at quite a warm period to end June into the start of July. Days 21 through to 30 look like this, and again we've got the ridge around the country, remember, through this early part of July. So once again, the temperature anomalies from the 6th through to 15th coming out warmer than average. Looks like quite an extended period of warm weather there, right at the end of June, up towards the middle of July. But then we go through to that final period, which is days 31 to 40. The trajectory, remember, goes on to a northwest-southeast trajectory as we pull the heights out into the Atlantic. And generally, the overall idea is for things to start to cool down a bit. The temperatures are dropping close to, maybe even ever so slightly cooler than average. Precipitation anomalies for the coming 10-day period from the 16th to 25th of June coming out wetter than average. So it's quite a grim period coming up. It's going to be generally very wet or fairly wet, and also quite cool as well with low pressure dominating. So it isn't a great 10 days through this middle part of June. But the next 10 days it goes warmer, and it also goes drier as the ridge builds up from the south. Things dry out and warm up. So for the very end of June into the start of July, we've got a drier period coming through there. The next 10 days, going up to the middle of June, so this is from the 6th through to the middle of July, I should say. This is from the 6th through to the 15th of July. And again, hinting at being a little bit drier than average, particularly for England and Wales, maybe turning a little bit wetter than average in the north and west. So perhaps a bit transitional through this period. It might not be the whole of this period dominated by high pressure. It could be that we start off around 6th, 7th, 8th with quite a bit of high pressure, and then there's a deterioration later on, something like that. A little bit transitional perhaps there in that 10-day period. And then we go through to the final 10-day period from the 16th to 25th of July, and as we go cooler than average and we pull the heights into the Atlantic, we also go wetter than average as well. So it does look as though the second half of July could be quite a bit more unsettled and cooler compared to the first half of July, although I think from the 6th to the 15th, that 10-day period probably transitions. So it starts off fairly dry and warm, then maybe transitions something a little bit more unsettled later on, and then that takes you through to the final 10 days, which goes into the second half of July. The upshot of this update is that it's going to be quite a changeable period. I think we start off the first 10 days pretty cool, pretty unsettled, quite a bit of rain around. Then we've got a drier spell setting up very end of June and into July, where it probably turns quite warm and should be a fair amount of pleasant weather. And then it looks like sometime in the second or third week of July, we get a deterioration into something significantly cooler and more unsettled. I think that was the idea from last week as well, interestingly enough. So there may be a little bit of a trend here with the Basic Climate Centre for how things are expected to pan out. With a lot of dry weather to begin the month, but maybe a deterioration taking place as we progress through July. As ever, these long-range models are highly experimental, so just a heads up of what model is showing today, but don't necessarily be taking it too seriously. We'll have another look at Basic Climate Centre next Wednesday, and also, of course, on Friday, we've got the JMA update, so we'll be looking at the JMA CFSB to see whether they are in agreement with this idea from the BCC. Right, that's all for now. Later on, we'll be looking at Le Mans. Have the final update for that coming up later on this afternoon, early this evening. So come back to that. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching.